Dealing with chapter two, and chapter two is dealing with document presentation, editing, and formatting. I know we've done some formatting already in chapter one, so this will be kind of going in a little bit deeper into that. And so we'll be learning about formatting and styles, and then inserting and formatting different types of objects. First thing that we're going to learn about is how to do different fonts. And so remember, formatting can be applied to text and paragraph levels. In this objective, we examine formatting applied at the text level. So we know that a font is a combination of typeface and type style that can be applied to text. Font options include the typeface, the size, and a variety of attributes like the bold, italic, underline, strikeout, highlighting, etc. And you see some there on your screen. So we know that on the computer, we know that we have a variety of different fonts. And then we know that we can change the color. We know that we can do a lot of different things with that. In order to apply the font attribute, we would go up to make sure we were on the home tab. And then we have the font, I believe it's called the font group. And then right here where it says Calibri, we could click on that and we can choose. Calibri is the default font. So unless you've changed that, and then you can choose then various fonts. And then there are two different types of fonts we see. We see that Times New Roman is what they call a serif font. And that means that at the end of some of the letters, it has a little tail. So a serif font, those are good for body text. So the text of a letter or the text of a paragraph makes it a lot easier for your eye to follow. Arial is an example of what is called a sans serif font. It means it doesn't have that little tail at the end, and that is good for any text that's on screen. So for example, in the video last week, I had a lower third that came up that told what part of the hands-on activity we were. I used Arial for that because it's good for that type of text or heading text or text in a PowerPoint. Arial is a good. So that's important because that may be a question on the quiz. So again, you have the font group that allows you to choose the different fonts. And then you can, of course, where 11 is, you click on that to change the size. Where the A with the red is to change the color. Now, they're going to start talking about this dialog box launcher. And you're going to say, well, Mr. Abbott, what is the dialog box launcher? That is this little button right here at the bottom. You see there's one right here. This is the font dialog box launcher. So the one here, I know it's kind of hard to see, but for the paragraph. So it's that little button right there. And we'll see it when we get in the activity. That is where you'll click. It brings up this dialog box, and then this gives you some more options. So in this case, to how to adjust fonts. And then this figure shows the text effects and the typography gallery. This gallery can be used to create the reflection effect that we saw earlier. And this gallery uses what is called live preview that enables you to see the effects of the text without actually clicking on the effects. So when you hover, you'll see it. So for example, you can click and you can choose any of these. So like if you had the basics of photography highlighted, if you clicked on or hovered over one of these, it would change. You could get an idea. And there's some more options there. Okay, this is the text effects and topography gallery. And again, the instructions will call for that. And you're going to say, well, what is it? So that's what it is. It's the A right here. And there's different things. So that is for the actual text. There's different ways that you can format a paragraph. And so we know that we can adjust the alignment, the indentation, a tab stop, the line spacing, borders and shading, and then bulleted and numbered lists. We'll take a look at those. So paragraph alignment, we have the left align that is used in letters, reports, and memos. Right, that's used for dates, figures, and headers. So for example, on an MLA paper, you have your last name and the page number in the header, and you have that right aligned. Center alignment centers text horizontally. That's used for report titles and major headings. So you might have the name of your assignment maybe center aligned. And then justified aligned, it aligns the text evenly. So like you'd see like in a newspaper or a magazine, or if you read, I don't know, any of the Harry Potter books, or if you like to read any like romance novels or anything like that, the text is justified usually. So it's evenly spaced. You'll see that in a minute when we get there. We'll talk about that. Different types of indentation determines how part of a paragraph is distanced from one or more of the margins. And so you might have first line indent. That's where usually the first line of the paragraph is indented. That's usually how we do it. You might have a hanging indent, and that's used in references for the bibliography or works cited page. And we'll look at that, I believe, in chapter 4, because we'll learn how to write a report in chapter 4. Left align or the left indent is when the entire paragraph is indented from the left margin. And then you can have a right where the entire paragraph is indented from the right margin. Usually do both of those. Like if you're going to have a long quote in a paper, you might have it set aside from the left and the right margin. And then how we control that is with the ruler. And so, for example, you would click right in front of the I in if, and you can bring this over so that that is, and then you want to bring this other one back. And that's how you do it. So we'll look at that some more later, how to do that. And in your different tab stops, there's different types. There's a left, center, right, decimal, and bar. The bar is useful as a separator for text printed on the same line. And then there to show you here how that's done. And we'll look at that when we get into our assignment some more. So this allows you to make tables in your actual document. And then you can also have a border and then have shading. So usually in the syllabus that I would give you, which I didn't this time, I would usually have certain parts shaded or certain parts with a border around them, and that's how I would have done that. Remember, you have numbered lists. Now, you use numbered lists if it is something done in sequence. So, like, for example, on the 14th, I had to bake a birthday cake for my mom, and I looked at the rest of the instructions on the box. Obviously there were certain things that I had to do in order, right? So that would have been in a numbered list. Now a bulleted list, that lists items that are non-sequential. So you might have maybe list of different things, but they don't have to be done in any particular order, so you'd use a bulleted list. And in a multi-level list, combines numbered or bullets, and that could be done like to do like an outline. We see that here. So I know in some of your classes you might be asked maybe to make an outline of a chapter. So you could use a multi-level list to do that. The style set is the combination of font, style, color, and size. And that is something that's predetermined. Now, the document theme is, and this is important, is a set of coordinated fonts, colors, and special effects that are combined into a package that provide a stylish appearance to a Word document. Now, the document theme, some of those are built into Word and also the other programs. You may also work for a company and they may ask you to define a theme specific, maybe to that company for the documents that you're going to do there. But that governs what colors, for example, are available to you. If you have the wrong document theme selected, you're going to have problems with not finding the colors it's going to ask you in the book. The section is the part of a document that has unique page settings. So, for example, you might have the top of the document normal, then you might have maybe two columns and then a normal. So you'd use a section break to differentiate that. And then columns are formatted side by side vertical blocks. So, like a newsletter has different columns, or maybe a brochure has, different columns, different panels. Okay. And so this shows you here under the design tab, you have different themes that are available to you. And then you also have, and in this, the different color themes as well. So, for example, facet, integral, those are all different ones that in the instructions they might ask you to use. We have different types of section breaks. So we have next page, which if you do a section break that takes you to the next page, it's going to begin at the top of the next page. Continuous can continue onto the same page. Like I was saying, you may have body text, normal text, and then you have a couple of columns and then regular text. So you'd use a continuous break. And then an even page begins at the top of the next even page. Odd page starts at the top of an odd page. And in doing our columns, so if we go under layout columns, we can do different types of columns there. Styles are found in the home tab in the styles group. The styles pane is shown in the figure displayed by clicking in the styles dialog box launcher. So this pane, you would click on the launcher. But under Home tab, you'll see here there's different styles. So, for example, heading one, and then you have like normal text. This is important. For example, if you're creating a document, you may have to put like the headings and you want all the headings to be one certain style. Also, that's important when you're creating documents for accessibility. So you use the styles in order to do that. And so that's under the Home tab. Again, I know yours might look a little bit different than the figure, but it's going to be very similar. And then this is showing you the outline view. So when you've done, if you've put your heading styles in, then you can use the outline function in order to be able to adjust the order that things appear in and to see, how, but you have to use the heading styles in order to use this. We'll look at that. There's different types of objects that can be inserted into our documents that we might want. So pictures, text boxes, tables, and word art. So a picture, of course, is like could be a photograph that you've taken maybe with your phone, or a picture that you found on the internet, or a clip art image. A text box is a bordered area that's used to draw attention to a specific text. Table is an arrangement of text, rows, and columns. And then word art is a feature that allows you to use enhanced text to include special effects, including color, shadow, gradient, and 3D. Word art is pretty cool. You can use that to do a lot of different things. So we see here in this example that they've inserted word art. So spa specials for July 18 is a word art object, and then you can adjust different colors with that, shadows, etc. The picture of the lavender is the picture maybe that they found on the internet. Maybe it's a picture that this person took. We see here the table that lists out their items and the prices, and then we have the text box that has the address of where the spa is. And you can see here how we can adjust and format those different ways. Now, objects can be moved by dragging from one object, by dragging it to any location on the page, aligned to text by having the word wrap, and then they also can be resized by using the resizing handle. So if you have your textbook, or you can look at it if you have the electronic version of it, go ahead and open up to page 216. So you see my screen right now and you see our Canvas course. So if we go down here into our week 3 module, we'll see our work that we have to do today. And if you scroll down, you'll see we have our quiz, we have our things. So we're going to take a look. We go all the way down here into our module, you'll see that we have a discussion forum that you'll be completing. And this time, what you'll do is you're going to write it, and there'll be an attach button that looks like this, and you'll be actually attaching a Word document to it. And so this one will be kind of a creative kind of exercise for you. If you have any questions or have any issues with that, let me know. So we'll go into our hands-on activity because that's what we're going to work on right now. First of all, what we'll have to do is we'll have to go ahead and set up a folder on our desktop. So I'm going to show you how to do that, and then we'll go ahead and download the files that we need. So what I did, I'm sorry if you guys didn't see that, is I right-clicked and I went down here to New Folder, and I went ahead and made a new folder called Word Chapter 2. Okay? Sorry if you guys didn't see that. All right, so what we'll do is we'll go back into Canvas, and then we need to download the files that we need to do our assignment. So what I would suggest, just right-clicking. So for example, the first one is an image that we're going to insert when we get to hands-on exercise 3. So WO2H3 float.jpg. So right-click and then say save link as target. And then we need to go to where we need to go. So chapter 2. Do not change the name, and then just hit save. We'll do the same thing to the kayak image. And we'll do the same thing to WO2H1 Studio. Okay. So we now have the files that we need. Again, make sure to right-click on the text. Or what you could do too is if you click on that picture, it'll come up with a dialog. So like if you open it up in Photos, eventually it'll come up, and then you can go, okay, so it came up. What you can do then is go up here to the 3 dots and hit Save As. Okay. So that's another way that you can do that. Okay, and then I have the instructions here. If you don't have the book, you can click on that and you can read the instructions. So this will be the last chapter that I'm going to do that for. So you'll have to contact the library or get the book if you don't already have it. So there it is. So then there's the instructions, okay? But if we go back, close that tab, let me close that tab. So we'll minimize this. So in our book, it says the first thing that they want us to do is we're going to be writing a newsletter you're developing needs a lot of work. So you want to format it so that it is much easier to read. And so the first thing they want us to do is to open up W02H1 Studio. Well, you've downloaded the files, so we'll go to your desktop and then we'll go ahead and just open up the file that we had and it should open up for us. So we see that, and I'll have to enable editing because we download this from the internet. And you look at this thing and you're going to say, wow, there's a lot of things. This doesn't look very good. So there's a lot of things that we're going to have to do this. So the first thing we got to do is to save it as W02H1 Studio last first. So we'll go up here to File. We'll go down here to Save As. Now, what I would suggest doing is, even though the folder I want's right there, is just hit Browse. And if you need to, you can click on Desktop and you can go down here to your Chapter 2 folder and then you can save it. So when I say last first, it's your last name and your first name. And then you can go ahead and hit save and just save it in the Word Chapter 2 folder. Page 216, okay? So again, the first, so we went ahead, we opened W02H1 Studio, we saved it. So the first thing they want us to do is in step B on 216, they want us to use Control A on the keyboard. So if we hit, make sure our word is active. So I hit Control A, it's going to select everything. Now on a Mac, I believe it might be Command or something in an A. I'm not exactly sure, but that selects everything. And then what you can do is we want to go ahead and we notice now the font, this is all kind of a jumbled mess. So we're going to go up here, click on the font arrow. We need to go and choose a font. And so you notice I have a lot of fonts. And again, there may be fonts that I have on my computer that you don't have. But we're going to scroll all the way down and we're going to keep scrolling, find Times New Roman. You probably won't have to scroll this far. I have a lot of extra fonts on here because I like fonts, doing different. And then there's some of these that came with the Hallmark Card Studio and stuff. So here's Times New Roman. So we're going to click on that. So now everything then is Times New Roman. And the next thing they want us to do is to change the font size to 12. So we're going to click right next to where we selected the font. We'll choose 12. Now everything now is in Times New Roman size 12. So you use this 12-point serif font for the whole document because it's going to be easier to read and print because this is going to end up being a print newsletter. So then if we look over on page 217, they want us to select the second paragraph of the document, which says courtesy of Philips Studio L Photography. So, and this is confusing. Each one of these would be considered a paragraph. So basics of photography is a paragraph, courtesy of Philips L Photography is, and then this portion here where it says, if you enjoy taking digital pictures, you're not alone, blah. All of that is considered a paragraph. So we'll go ahead and click, drag our mouse over to select courtesy of Philips Studio L Photography. We'll click on the I, make that italic. All right. In the font group. And again, this is what they consider the font group. It's on the home tab. Now, on step D, it says to select the 5 paragraphs beginning with compose with care and ending with be bold. So I'm going to have to, okay, right here. So compose with care, ending with be bold. So we'll just click, hold down the left mouse button, select all of those. And then what we're going to do is I want to click on the font dialog box launcher. And again, I showed you it's this button right here. But if you hover, you kind of get an idea of what it is. Okay, so this is the clipboard launcher. This is the font dialog box launcher. So I'm going to click on that. Then it's going to bring up this box. And this time what I want to do is I want bold. So under font style, I'm going to choose bold. And then I'm going to choose small cap. So under effects, you'll see small caps. Notice we see a preview here, give us an idea of what it's going to look like. And then we can go ahead and hit OK. And we can click OK. The next thing we can do is hit Control and the END key, the end key. And so on your keyboard, I'll just hold up mine if I can get the cord and there's enough slack. So on your keyboard, so there's these buttons right here. So the home is right here, the end key, there's some other keys right here on your keyboard. Now, obviously, I'm using a desktop. On your laptop, you should have something similar. What I want to do is hit Control and END. And again, it might be Command EMD or something on a Mac. I'm not sure. But Control End. That takes us to the end of the document. So you could always scroll down to the end as well. And then what we want to do is select the last paragraph where it says, let Philips Studio L Photography preserve your memories, exclamation point. We're going to select that. Then what we got to do is we're going to select the text effects and typography, which I said was in the font group. It's this right here. If you kind of hover over some of these, notice that you'll get a tooltip. That's what that's called. So it helps you to know what it is. So we'll click on that. And then this time they want us to choose one that is called Fill Blue Accent 1 Outline, Background 1, Hard Shadow Accent 1. And so they said that one was on the third row, and I believe it's this one. So again, if you hover over these, you can kind of see what it is. And so you see that the tooltip says it may be different because, again, I'm using a different version of Office. I think it is that one, actually. I think it is this one. So we'll just go ahead and click it. Yeah, hard shadow blue accent. It says now it's accent color 5 instead of accent colored 1. So just do the best you can, guys, with these. It may look a little different. So it's that one. And that's all right. So now the next thing that we need to do is we want to change the font color to 16, or size, excuse me. So the size, so here's the font, here's the size, going to make it 16. And so we're done with that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go back up to the top of our document. And so to do that, we're going to hit Control Home. It's going to take us to the very beginning of the document. And this time what we want to do is we want to select the beginning of the document and then select the second paragraph where it says courtesy of Philips Studio L Photography. So we're going to select that. This time we're going to change the font color. So to do that, it's this one right here under the font group. We can choose the font color. And this one, it was blue accent 5, darker 25%. So here it is, accent 5, darker 25%. And again, notice that if you kind of hover over these, you can kind of see which one it is. And then the next thing we got to do is we'll select we'll select the words you should consider how to become a better photographer in the paragraph under the composition heading. So we'll see, okay, here's composition. And it says you should, let me see, you should consider how to become a better photographer. So we'll go ahead and we'll select that text, and then we want to make it highlighted. Notice I did that. You got the this little mini one you could use and make it highlight it in yellow, or you could go up here and highlight it in yellow. So we'll highlight that in yellow. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and go Control Home again. And in this time in step I, what we'll do is we will go ahead and check the spelling. So if we go up here again to, they say it's the review tab. Yeah, it is review tab, spelling and grammar. Then it's going to give us, it's going to give you the spelling, and then you can choose, what to do there. Ignore any possible grammatical errors, but correct the spelling errors. So for example, the 4 points where these lines intersect are the strongest, should be focal points, right? So go ahead and click on that. And it says when you shoot a photo, so it should be when you shoot. And it says when you shoot a photo from, should be above. There we go. So we've now corrected the spelling mistakes. And then they want us to go ahead and save the document. So we'll click up here always to save it. Again, always a good practice to save the document. You have editor in the review tab. Okay. So it should be under proofing, and it should say spelling and grammar. Okay. So we'll go ahead and look at step 2. So we see that the lines of the newsletter are too close together, and we see this is really hard to read. And it's hard to know when one paragraph ends and begins. And so we're going to adjust our text. So what we'll do is we'll end up using our mouse and we will select most of the document, beginning with the sentence, if you enjoy taking digital pictures, and ending with emotions expressed before even greeting Santa. So we see right here, before, if you enjoy taking digital photos, we scroll all the way down. We see here on the last line, it says, be sure to take pictures before the child gets to Santa. Some of the best photos are of the emotion expressed before even greeting Santa. So we're going to select all of that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we're on the home tab now. And then under the paragraph group, we have line and paragraph spacing. We're going to click on that. And then we're going to go ahead and choose 1.15. So right here. So that makes it so it's not quite as compressed. So everything's still select. Leave everything selected. And then what you'll do is we want to make it justified. So again, under the paragraph group, remember we have the options here of how we want our text. We're going to choose justify. Notice then how then everything lines up to the right margin now. The right margin isn't. And then what I got to do is, again, with that selected, we're going to go ahead and go back to the home tab, and it's under the paragraph, the dialog box launcher. And then we see right here under the spacing, after spacing section, decrease the spacing after it to 6 points. So spacing after, we're going to go ahead and change that to 6 point. We'll hit OK. So that is a little bit better. And then we can click somewhere to deselect the text. Then we'll hit Control and End again. That's going to take us to the end of the document. We're going to click anywhere in that last paragraph. And this time we want to click on the group to center it. So we click up here under paragraph group, it centers it. And then we're going to go back up to the first. So we'll hit Control Home. That's going to take us back up to the beginning. And this time we're going to click on courtesy of Philips Studio L Photography, and we're going to make that right align. So we'll click again anywhere in courtesy of Philips Studio L Photography, and we'll hit to make that right aligned. All right. And then what we'll do is on step D, we'll go ahead and click on the View tab. And this time what we'll do is make sure that the ruler is selected. So show, make sure ruler is selected. The ruler is this vertical and this horizontal. We want to make sure that that's selected. If it's not, we need to check that box. So I'm going to go ahead and check it because I want the ruler to be displayed. And then what we'll do is we'll go again right here. We'll click on the first paragraph that says, if you enjoy taking digital, click anywhere in that paragraph. So the first paragraph. And then what we'll do is we'll go on the Home tab. We'll open up the dialog box launcher for the paragraph. So it's right here. And then what we'll do is we'll go under Special, under the indentation, and we'll choose First Line Indent. And then we'll leave it at 1/2 inch. So again, you click on the dialog box launcher. Under indentation, you're going to go Special First Line, and then you're going to leave that the way it is and hit OK. So notice now that it now is indented 1/2 inch. We see now how it adjusts in the ruler. So then what we can do is go ahead and save the document. And if we look over on to page 219, we can set the tab stops. This time what we'll do for step A is we'll go ahead and we'll hit Control End again. That's going to take us to the very bottom of the document. And I want to make sure that, again, also make sure that the non-printing characters are selected, which mine are, but you're going to, under paragraph, it's going to be this little paragraph symbol right here. Make sure that that's selected. So you have the little paragraph symbol and all the little dots and stuff. It is selected, so it's good. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and press the enter key twice on my keyboard. And then what I got to do is I need to click clear formatting in the font group. So that's this little eraser up here in the font group is clear all formatting. That's now going to put us back to the default, which is Calibri 11 point. I don't want that. I want Times New Roman 16. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here again to my font. I'm going to click on that. And now that I've used Times New Roman recently, it's going to be a recently used font. So we're going to click on that. And then we'll change under size. We'll go down to 16. And then we want to make sure that the tab shown identifies a left tab. Click 1 inch on the ruler. So if we click just the left click at 1 inch, we have a left tab. And then we'll click the tab selector twice to select a right tab and click at 5.5. So if we go 5 inches is right here, 5.5 is right here, we'll go ahead and click it twice. It's going to bring up this dialog box. So we're going to choose 5.5 inch, and then we're going to choose right. So we'll hit the tab key. Notice it's going to go right into 1 inch. And then the next thing we got to do is we're going to type in there Monday through Friday, because we're going to write the hours that these people are open. So Monday through Friday. Then we'll hit tab. So if I go back up here and I click on this again, it's going to bring the, there we go. So 5.5 inches, we should have set a dot leader, which is number 2, set, clear. All right, so if we hit tab and we type in there Monday, there we go. So we should do a tab like that. So you have the dot leader, and then they want us to put in there 9 to 4. And then press enter. Then we're going to do the same thing. So we'll hit tab, then we'll type in there Saturday, hit tab, and be 9 to 2. And then we'll go ahead and hit tab, and we'll type in there enter, and then tab, closed Sunday. All right. So that's how that works. All right. Then they want us to save the document. So we'll go ahead and save the document. And then if we go over here to the next page, which is to 220, they want us to apply borders and shading. The next thing they want us to do is to apply borders and shading. So we're going to select the 3 paragraphs at the end of the document that we just typed. And then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and under the borders arrow under paragraph. So borders is right here, but we have an arrow. We have the borders arrow. I want us to choose and then click borders and shading. So it's right here. And then I want you to go ahead and go down to the double line, which is this one right here, and then shadow. And then we'll go ahead and click OK. So we have that. So now we'll go ahead and click on the shading arrow. Again, make sure that's still selected. We'll choose a color, and the color I want is called Blue Accent 1 Lighter 60%. So it's this one right here. Again, if you hover, you'll kind of get a preview of it. There we go. So the studio hours are now bordered and shaded. And then we'll go ahead and click to save our work. And then we'll go over again on step 5. We see that there's several points of newsletter. You have to include either a list of items or a sequence of steps. And so for that, we're going to go hit Control Home. That's going to take us back up to the beginning. And I want to choose the 5 bold-faced paragraphs beginning with compose with care, ending with be bold. All right. And for this time, what I want to do is this will become a numbered list. And so for that, what we'll do is we'll click on, not on the number, but on the arrow. We'll choose that. and we will choose the one that has the number followed by the right parenthesis. So it's this one right here, number alignment left. We'll choose that. Then what we'll do is we'll decrease the indent. And so again, under paragraph, it would be this one right here. And we'll hit that with the numbered list to the left margin. So we've done that. Then we can deselect it. Now we'll scroll to the second page and we'll choose the four paragraphs followed by the sentence depth of field is determined by several factors. So right here, depth of field is determined by several factors, and it says aperture, f-stop, lens, subject distance, and point of view. So we're going to choose that one. This time what we want to do is we want bullets for those because these are not steps. So we'll click on the bullet arrow and it will choose the one that is the hollow circle. And then for this, we selected these things. We went up here and we did this. Now, the next thing with that we need to do is we're going to go ahead and decrease the indent again to move it to the left margin, deselect the text. So we'll do the same thing. All right. We do that because eventually we're going to end up editing this. So we're going to put columns in and stuff. So otherwise it would get kind of messed up otherwise. So that's how we want it. Now we're going to go for step D. We're going to go to the very end of the document. So we'll hit Control and End. Takes us to the end of the document. We'll choose the 6 paragraphs above the last line of text that begin with when kids are involved right here. So it's some steps. So it says when kids are involved, and it goes all the way down to be ready to take pictures before the child gets to Santa. So it's going to be all of those. And then we'll go ahead and we'll go up here again to bullets. And we'll do the same hollow bullets. And we'll go ahead and decrease the indent again. Just so it's right like so. Clicking, and actually you could actually just click on the bullet button. You didn't have to select the arrow to choose the one you wanted because it would remember the last one that we used. Anyway, we'll go ahead and click on the save button again to save our work. Turn the page in our book over to page 231. And then what we'll do is document appearance. The next step in preparing the photography newsletter for distribution is to apply document formatting to several areas of the document that make it easier to read. By applying a theme, formatting the document in columns, you add visual appeal. Using styles, you ensure consistent formatting of document text. Finally, you check the document's organization by viewing it in outline view. So the first thing what we'll do is we want to select the document theme. Well, first we need to resave it. So we've already left this open. So we're going to go up here to File, Save As. And since we already know that we want to save it in Word Chapter 2 that's on our desktop, we'll go ahead and click on that. And then we'll change where it says WO2H1, we'll change it to WO2H2. And then we'll hit Control Home again to go back to the very top of the document. Now, this time what we want to do is we want to click on the Design tab, change the theme, and choose Organic. So we'll click on the Design tab. Then on the left-hand side, you see here Themes. And we'll scroll down and we'll try to find the one called Organic. So here it is. Or actually, yeah, that is the one we want. So we'll click on it. Notice now that the text here now changed. And then notice that down at the bottom, this changed. That's fine. We don't want that green and that orange. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on the colors and choose violet 2. So we'll click on colors and then we'll scroll down and there's one here called violet 2. So we're going to go ahead and click on that. Notice how that changed and how that did. And if we go up to the top, you'll notice that that changed. Again, that's important because, again, we want to save the document. That's important because, again, later on, it's going to ask for certain colors. And if we didn't change the color theme, we're going to have trouble finding the colors that we're looking for. And so, again, we'll hit Control Home, takes us back to the beginning. That's on page, we're on 232. And in this time, what we'll do is we'll select beginning with courtesy of Philips L Studio, ending with before they even meet Santa. So we'll just go ahead and click, and we can just use the scroll wheel on our mouse, go all the way down, select the document. We don't want this let Philips L, and we don't want or Studio L, and we don't want this basics of photography selected. We just want everything else. Then what we'll do is we'll go to the layout tab. We'll click on columns, and this time we want two columns. So we'll click on two columns. Notice now that it automatically inserted a section break for us, and then it inserted our two columns. And then we have this part that is not columns. Again, it's important that we selected the correct thing. If you make a mistake, you can go up here and hit undo once, and then you can go ahead and repeat whatever you might have, if you might have made a mistake. So now what we'll do is we'll just click anywhere out of that. Again, make sure we're at the beginning of the document. This time we'll click the heading where it says Basics of Photography. We'll click that, we'll go home, we'll make that centered. And then we'll click anywhere in the paragraph that begins, if you enjoy taking digital photos. And we're going to go ahead and rather than have that indented, we're going to have it a block paragraph style. So if we click anywhere within that paragraph, if you enjoy taking digital pictures, and if you go up here, we can click and then we can just hold the mouse button down, we can drag it back in a ruler. That makes it so it's no longer indented. And then what we can do, we can just so we can see kind of how it's going to look, multiple pages, is we can click on view and click on multiple pages. So we then see two pages, side by side. And then what we can do is hit 100% to go back to how it was, and then go ahead and save our work. Again, always a good idea to continue to save a work. So now what we want to do is we're on page 233, and what we're going to do is this newsletter is improving in appearance, but you note that the headings, camera body, lens composition, etc., are not as evident as they should be. Also, some headings are subordinate to each other and should be identified accordingly. And so what we'll do is we'll go down, we see the heading camera body, we'll go ahead and select that. We'll click on the home tab. For that, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and select heading 1. So we'll choose heading 1. Notice then that it changed the font, and now it's the heading. And then we'll find the word composition, and we'll do the same thing. Make it heading 1. Then what we can do is we can do the same thing to, and I'll show you how to do this. You can select more than one at a time. Juxtaposition, common photography mistakes, and holiday photography on the second and third pages. So if we go down, you see juxtaposition. Now, to select more than one heading at a time, what you can do is hold down the control key on your keyboard, and then you can select, or actually that may not work because it's gonna, well, it will, you just have to not use the scroll wheel. So if you use the scroll bar and just click and drag, we can go ahead and select common photography mistakes and holiday photography. So those all should be, and we let up on control and hit heading 1. So you can select more than one item at a time. We just want to make sure those are all heading 1. Then the next thing is on the second page, we want to select the rule of thirds. Oh, right here. It's actually on the first page. So we'll select rule of thirds. We'll hold down the control key. And then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and select depth of field again, and then becoming the subject, shooting from below and shooting from above. So we'll select those. We can release the control key and then hit heading 2, but we want to go ahead and leave those selected. Notice now that rule of thumb now is where it should be. we want to go ahead and do something else. So what we'll do then is we'll use the format painter under the home clipboard. We'll go ahead and double click on the format painter. Notice the mouse cursor changes. And then what we'll do is we'll scroll down. Then we'll go ahead and find dark photos, blurry images. So it should just be just those two. So then we'll go ahead and hit escape. That gets it out of that. And then what we want to do is to go ahead and select on the third page blurry images due to focus. And then we'll go ahead and make that heading 3. And so what you did is you used the format painter, you copied the format of the heading 2 style to a few headings on the second page, third page. Headings throughout the newsletter are formatted according to a hierarchy, where major headings are heading 1 and others in correct order beneath the first level. So now what we want to do is, okay, and I think it should be to due to focus, and the other one should have been due to camera shake. Hold on just a second. Yeah, so both of these are supposed to be heading 3. So now what we'll do is we'll click on the Styles dialog box launcher. So that's this button again under Home, Styles, the dialog box launcher. We'll go ahead and click on that because now what we can do is we can edit these styles. So what we want to do is we will click on so it'll be on page 234, step E, is we'll go ahead and point to heading 1, and then we'll click on the arrow and we'll choose modify. So then it's going to bring up this box to modify the style. And what I want to do is we'll click on formatting and font. All right, here. So format and then font. It's going to bring up this box. And then what we want to do is the underline style. And we're going to choose the second underline style, which is a double underline. And then we'll click OK, and we'll click OK again. So now anywhere that was heading style 1 now has a double underline. Then we can go ahead and save our work. So now we'll do step 4, which is to use the style set and create a new style from text. And so this time what we'll do is we'll hit Control Home to go back to the very beginning. And we'll click on the Design tab. And we can point to any document formatting, any style set in the document formatting group. So we see any of these, but without actually selecting it. Notice how everything kind of is changing as you kind of hover. And a one we want to try is we want to see how so we'll click on the more arrow, which was this right here. And we're going to choose lines simple. There we go. So we see how that looks. And then we'll go ahead and we'll click on it. So we see how that looks. We like that. Then what we can do is we can click on the View tab, and then we can click on one page. We see how the major headings have that. So now the next thing what we'll do is we'll click on 100%, makes it a little bit bigger. And then what we'll do is we'll go back to the Home tab. This time what we want to do is we'll select the second paragraph, which is courtesy of Philips Studio L Photography. So we'll go ahead and choose that. And this time we want to change the font color of that to plum accent 1 darker 25%. Okay, so plum, and it was accent 1 darker 25%. So it's going to be one of these. Okay. And so now we've done that. Now we can scroll through to the second page. And this time, step D on 235, we're going to click anywhere on the bulleted paragraph containing the text aperture f-stop. So we'll just click anywhere within that. And then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and click on the bullet arrow again. And this time we'll click on find new bullet. And then what we can do is we will click on font, and we want to change the font color, and we'll make it that same plum accent 1 darker 25%. So kind of hard to see, but it did, trust me, it did change the color. And then what we can do is we could go up here to, oh, it should be the round black. So if you click on that again, do the round black, there it is. So then it's purple with the round filled in. We want to set that as a style, so we'll click on that. We'll click on, all right, so in the styles group here, we move the, so again, make sure you're clicked in that. Under the styles group, we want to add a new style. So we'll click here, and we'll go ahead and call this style bullet paragraph. And we'll hit OK. So we've done that now to those. And then what we'll do is we'll go down, let's see, they want us to apply that now to the 3 bullet paragraphs at the end of the column. Select it and hit, whoops, and call it bullet paragraph. There you go. And then we'll do the same thing with these right here. Okay, so you made the style so it makes it easier. You could just go up and click it and do it. And so we'll go ahead and save the document. The next thing that we need to do then is we want to see the outline of this and maybe adjust how some of this, the order of it. So we'll go up here to view. And this time under views, we have outline. So we'll click on outline. So then we have the outline view. Then what we'll do is we'll click on show level and hit show level 3. So show level 3. So under the outline tool, show level 3, and you'll see the different sections here. Because you've put in the styles, you'll be able to see that. So then we can position the pointer to the plus sign that precedes blurry images due to camera shake. Notice how the mouse cursor changes to a four-headed arrow. So what I want to do is click on that in order to put that in front of blurry images due to focus. So notice that. So then you can adjust things, very easily that way. And then you can expand. So for example, we can expand juxtapositions section just by double clicking. And so we see the section of text that goes with that. And then we'll go ahead and hit under show level. We'll show level 1, which are our major headings. And then what we can do is we can click on holiday photos, and then hit expand. Double click to expand it. And so you can do that. So now what we can do is we can close the outline view. and then we're back to our document, and then we can go ahead and save our work. So go ahead and turn your page. We're on page 246, and this is step 3, dealing with objects. So now we want to add some interest to our newsletter by including a couple of pictures that illustrate points, a text box with business information, and word art that livens up the newspaper heading. So we should have hopefully kept this open. Otherwise, you're going to have to open WO2H2 Studio. So we're going to go up here again to File, to Save As. Again, since we've used it recently, it's going to be in our list on the right-hand side. So it's Word Chapter 2. We'll click that. And then we're going to call this WO2H3 Studio. So we went ahead and we saved our document. And now what we want to do is we want to make sure that we're on the second page of our document. And what we're going to do then is we're going to click right, so insert our insertion pointer, click right before the words depth of field is how much of the image. So right before, so not the heading, but the actual text itself. And then what we're going to do is we're going to insert our picture. So we're going to go up here to insert, and our insert tab. We're going to click on pictures. Now, again, it may look a little bit different for you depending upon, again, I'm using Office 19, but we want pictures from this device. So we're going to choose that. So that comes up. And then what we want to do is go into our exercise files. So again, our desktop, and I go into Word Chapter 2. And then I want to choose the one that is called WO2H3 Kayak. So it's this one. Click OK. Can anybody tell me what's wrong with this picture? You can tell me in the chat or verbally.
It's the wrong way.
It's going the wrong way, right? So we're going to have
to be vertical.
It should be vertical. You're right. So we're going to fix that. Believe it or not, you can fix that in Word. You don't have to take it to an external program. So what we're going to do is, again, make sure that the picture itself is selected. Notice then you have a new tab in your ribbon, the Format tab, Picture Tools. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on this, and we're going to choose this button right here that says Rotate Objects. It's under the Arrange group. So we're going to click on that, and we're going to click to rotate right 90 degrees. Voila. Perfect. We're just going to click outside the picture to deselect it. We'll work on that some more in a bit, but we're going to, right now, just leave it at that for now. So we'll do step D. It says to scroll through this to the third page, which is right here. And we want to place the insertion point before the most common reason for a blurred image. So the most common reason for a blurred image, we'll click right. Again, not blurry images due to focus, but right before the actual text. We'll click there. What we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to go up here to the Insert tab, Pictures, Pictures from this device. And then this time, we're going to choose the one that is called Float. So we're going to choose that. WO2H3 Float. We're going to choose that. Hit Insert. Notice the same thing. It's going sideways. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go up here to Arrange, Rotate right. Perfect. Okay, now this is fun. So now we're going to scroll down here to the holiday section. We talk about holiday photography, the one we're supposed to insert, or one similar to it. Is we go down to holiday photos, click to place the insertion point before the words, now for the fun part. So right here. So right here, now for the fun part. So now what we're going to do is we're going to hit the insert pictures. This time we're going to look at our online pictures. So we're going to choose that, online pictures. And it may take a moment for it to come up. There it is. So we see some different categories. We can choose, anything there. But what we want to do is in the text area here, we can click. You also can insert, if you have OneDrive, you have pictures, you can use this to insert those really easily as well. But we're going to go ahead and in the search box, type in the word ski and then press the enter key on the keyboard. So now it's going to show us all of the different pictures now that deal with skiing. And so if you flip the page over to page 248, you see there's a picture of a guy. It looks like he's got an orange jacket and he's skiing. So we're going to kind of see if we can find that one. We may not be able to now, because I think what we're going to end up doing is removing the background on it. So we probably want one real similar to it. So just try to find a photograph. I mean, actually, this first one is actually probably a really good one. So we can, we'll just use this one. We'll try this one, see. Okay. Notice here it says Creative Commons only. That's important. You want to leave that selected, because you notice there's a note down at the bottom. It says you are responsible for respecting others' rights, including copyright. Learn more here. So these images, they are from the internet and from probably different stock photography websites. And we use Bing, which is Microsoft's search engine, to find these images. And if it's Creative Commons, that means that they are giving you permission. You have the permission of whoever the photographer was, or the artist, if it's an art piece, to be able to use it in your documents. So we'll go ahead and we'll choose this one, and then we'll hit insert. So it'll take a second, and then it'll insert the image. On page 248, we're going to go up and select the picture near the depth of field section, which is the first one that we inserted. And we'd like to change the size. So again, we select the picture, click on it, and again, under Picture Tools Format, we have the size over here. And we want to change the width to 1.5. So width, we can just use the keyboard and hit 1.5 and hit enter. So now you notice it made it a little bit smaller. Okay. So by default, the lock aspect ratio setting is on. It means that when you change one dimension, it's going to do the other one to keep everything in proportion. All right. So now we've done that. Now we want to change the layout options. And so for that, notice right here, layout options, we're going to click on that. And then it's going to allow us to adjust how we want the text to wrap around this image. Well, we want to select square. So if we hover, you can see that this one's a square one. We'll select that. So now notice the image is here, and then the text is right here. That looks very attractive. So now we can do the same thing now over here to blurry images due to focus. We can click on that. Same thing. We'll make it square. We'll have to go up here and adjust the size of it to 1.5 for the width. And there you go. Very nice. Okay. And you could click and you can actually move it kind of up a little bit, kind of adjust how you want it. So just click and you hold the mouse. So now we'll click on holiday photography on the picture of the guy skiing. Now this time what we're going to do is we're going to click here. We're going to choose tight, which is this one right here, tight. And then we're going to do the same thing. We're going up here, change the size, make it 1.5. And then it says that the words may not exactly wrap as shown, but they should be approximate. And so it's kind of down here, kind of at I would say kind of the bottom of the article. Actually, that looks pretty good, actually. We're on step 240, on page 249. Again, make sure to save your work. Is we want to now apply some picture styles and picture effects to the pictures that we included in the newsletter. We also want to crop a picture to remove unnecessary detail. If we go to page 250 and we go to step A, we're going to choose the picture that goes with the depth of field section, which is right here. The ladies and they're in their I guess it's a canoe, and we want to crop the image. So we're going to choose the image. We're going to go up here again to Picture Tools Format. This time we're going to click on Crop. Notice how the handles change now to the solid black ones. That allows you to select the portion of the image that you would like to keep. So now what we're going to do is drag the crop indicator that's in the bottom center of the photograph up slightly to remove some of the water, as shown in figure 2.48. So if we go back and we look at 2.48, we see that we moved it up about middle way. So if we click, hold down our mouse, and drag, you notice it's about like so. So that's what we want. And then we can go ahead and click on the crop button. So now we've cropped the image, and we can click and move the image a little bit to make it a little bit better positioned. And then the next thing now we want to do is we want to select the image. And now notice you have the picture styles up here. So we're going to click on show more, and we want to choose the soft edge rectangle. So we're going to go ahead and click on that. And that's it. Perfect. So now the next one that we want to do is we're going to go ahead and go to the image that deals with the blurry images. So we're going to click on that. And now this one, we want to adjust the uh, coloring of it. So we're going to go up here to Picture Tools Format, and then we're going to choose under Corrections. We're going to choose Brightness 0% Normal Contrast plus 20%. It should be in the fourth row. So it'd be the one in the middle plus 20%. So it's this one right here. So we'll click on that. It sets that. And so you can use it again to adjust the brightness and contrast of an image if you're finding it's too dark. All right. And then the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to choose the picture, the ski picture. And this time, what we're going to do is we're going to click, and we'll see kind of how well this works. We're going to click on Remove Background. And so we see then, actually, that looks pretty good. You see the purple area is the part that we are removing. And I'm going to zoom in just so that I can see a little bit better exactly what. And I see that it wants to remove part of the image, and that's not okay. The background, so I'm going to hit Mark Areas to Keep. And I'm going to kind of use the pencil to kind of draw around, just so that it kind of identifies that just so it kind of identifies that there we go. Part of the there we go. So just so it kind of more identifies exactly, what part of it that I want to save, and then hit Save Changes. So again, the part that was in purple, it's gonna get rid of. All right, and you kind of see here, then it made it smaller, and you can kind of move it and adjust it. Okay, so then we'll go ahead and save our work. Then we got one more thing that we need to do, and that's to insert, modify, move, and resize the text box. So let me zoom out a little bit. We'll go all the way up here to the beginning of the document again. And then this time, or you can hit Control Home. And again, we want to make sure that the non-printing characters are displayed. This time we'll go up here to Insert, and then we'll choose Text Box, and we want to choose Draw text box. So if you go all the way down here to the bottom, draw text box, notice that your mouse cursor changes into a crosshair. And what we want to do is we want to point to the blank paragraph mark below courtesy of Philips Studio L Photography, and draw a small box. So probably about like so, and then release the mouse button. Now, you see that that covered up part of our text, and that's okay. We're going to fix that. So we're going to click on the layout options, and then this time we're going to choose the one that's called top and bottom. So we'll click on that. Notice how then our text all moved down really nice for us. So then we'll click back in the text box. Notice again under drawing tools format, you have the size, very same as what we did with the pictures. And we want to choose and make the height 0.6 and the width 2.5. So I was really close, but not quite. There we go. Perfect. Then what we need to do is we're going to go ahead and type in their email, which is psl@geotech.net. And then if we press enter, notice it's going to go ahead and make that into what is called a hyperlink. Now we'll fix that in just a minute so that it's not. And then we'll type in the phone number, which is 610-555-0021. Now what we can do is we can right click on their email address and go down to remove hyperlink, and that removes the hyperlink. And then we'd like that to be centered, so we can select that text, go up here to the home tab, choose center. So now it's centered in that box. And then what they would like for us to do is they would like for us to have that filled in. So we'll go up here again under our drawing tools format, under the shape fill. They want us to choose the purple or plum, accent 1 lighter 80%. So plum accent 1 lighter 80%. So it's probably this one. Yep. Perfect. All right. So now text box background is shaded to match the theme. And then they want this to be aligned right with the line. So we're going to drag it until we get that green line and then release the left mouse button. Then we can save the document. And we have one more thing on page 252 is, again, we'll choose the text that says basics of photography. We just want to make sure it's just the text. Then we're going to go up here to insert, and then we want word art. So it's under text, word art. And then we want to choose the one that is fill plum accent 1 shadow. So it's right here. We'll select that. Notice then that it made it then into a word art object. And then under the layout options, we'll choose top and bottom. There we go. Then what we can do now that we've done that, we can just kind of preview, get an idea of exactly what this would look like. So if we go up here to File, Print, you can kind of get an idea then and kind of page through it. And you think, wow, that looks really good. So then what you can do is hit the back arrow and make sure to save your work. And then let me show you how you would go ahead and submit this. So we can close out of Word and go ahead and close this. So if we go back into our web browser, we can click on this Submit Assignment. And then you're under the file upload. So we're going to browse. For me, it's going to automatically open up what we want. But if nothing else, you can go to the desktop. You can go on to Word Chapter 2. And a one I want is WO2H3 Studio, because that's the file. Make sure it's H3. And then hit open, and then hit submit assignment. And it might take it a few seconds because it's going to upload the assignment. And the minute the page will refresh, it'll say submitted. And that's all there is to it.